Okay, let us understand the signaling flow control message in MTP3. So, user part unavailable. This is the only message which has been defined in MTP3 layer for signaling flow control. Okay, so let us understand the significance of it. So, the purpose of MTP3 layer is to provide service, is to provide the network management to the other layers, to the upper layers. The upper layers are called user parts, like ISDN user part, telephony user part, data user part. Okay, so layers above MTP3, they are called as user parts, and they use the APIs exposed by MTP3 or functionalities provided by MTP3 layers. Typically, what happens that the SS7 stack provided by the providers till MTP3 layer is generally different from. So typically what happens that at the MTP3 layer there is a separate stack provider, and for the layers which are above there is a separate stack provider. So they both work as separate process on the same system or even on different systems. So it may so happen that the packet is received by the MTP3 layer, but it is not able to hand over to the higher levels. Or it may so happen that the higher levels are already very occupied with other messages. So that's a case of congestion. So the user part layer is not able to handle the call, not able to handle the message. So MTP3 has to provide information to other links, other signaling points, that so and so user part on so and so point code, that is its own point code, is not available. So that the main idea here is when this message is received by the other parties, they take appropriate action that the message is not sent to this point related to this user part. Okay, but the actual implementation of it is actually dependent on the application, the development of user part. Okay, so but here the overall guideline or the functionality which is provided by MTP3 is just to inform the other links, other signaling points, that so and so user part is not able to handle the traffic because it is unavailable, or because of congestion, or because of some other reason. So that's the only flow control message which is available in MTP3 for the time being. Now let's look at the format of this message. Okay, so it's again MTP3 message which is encapsulated in MTP2 encapsulation. Okay, so it has a cause, a user part ID, then a buffer, then the destination, then the header 1, the header 0, then routing label, and then SI. Okay. Now SIO and routing label. Routing label is basically the origination point code, the destination point code, the link set, and SIO is the signaling information. Okay. This is basically identifier of the user part for which this message is. Now the main part of this message is this one, because other parts are there in other MTP3 messages also. Okay. So the main part is this. So if MTP3 is trying to send this message from SP1 to SP2, so it is trying to send that the user part ID, which is unavailable, is this, which is UPID. It's a 4-bit. It's a 4-bit user part. Then the cause of this failure. This is also 4-bit. What is the reason for failing? The destination is the point code of the failed user part. Okay, the point code which is having the failed user part. And H0 is fixed to 1010, and H1 is 0001. Okay, so based on these two, H0 and H1, it knows that this is a user part unavailable message. And then there is a destination to signify its own point code, or the point code which is having a failed, not its own, but the point code on which the user part is failing. Okay, so if this SP1 is actually relaying the message, then the routing label will contain its own point code, but the destination point code is going to be the one on which the user part has failed. Okay, then the user part ID, which is actually the failure, which user part is failing, and the cause of the failure. Okay, now there are 3 causes. One is 0010. Okay, so it's a inaccessible user part. Like I said, it sometimes happens that the user part is running on separate process. So if that process crashes, then MTP3 is not able to handle that message. So in that case, the user part will become inaccessible to MTP3. Or it could be an unequipped user part. So for unequipped user part is 0001. So here it means that the user part is unable to handle the traffic. So for that user part, unequipped message will come. And finally, a generic code is there, 0000, to signify that unknown cause. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Let us understand what happens when we have when the message is relaying through several point codes. Okay, so let's suppose there is a point code D. Okay, and on this D point code, some user part is failing. It is conveying this thing to point code C. Okay, so in the user part unavailable message, the destination point code will be that of D. Okay, and the OPC in the MTP3 routing label is also going to be D, because it is its own user part which is failing. Now it comes to C, and C wants to convey this message to other point codes also, let's say A and B. So C will send this message to B. In the UPU, the destination of the that is a failed point code is actually D, but the MTP3 message will contain the point code of C. Similarly here also. Okay, so that's the difference between the destination point code and the one which is there in the routing label. So here this C is working as a relay. So one should not confuse that the point code in the routing label is going to be same. Okay, so that's all about it.